Greetings, YouTube. The Doctor is in. Dr. Urias Papers here, coming at you with another commentary on Dungeons and Dragons. And we got the review for the 2024 Monk, or the comparison with the 2014 Monk and the 2024 Monk today. It came out 6 hours ago by David Barker. So, like all of these articles, there's a video. The video is 40 minutes long, so we're not going to go through the video. There is a flavor paragraph, a advertisement for the new books, for the pre-order bundle. There is a summary table of all of the changes and additions. And then there is the description, so that's what we're going to talk about today. So we got a picture of, looks like a dragon-born, almost like an Asian dragon martial artist with a staff. We've got looks like probably a Goliath, some kind, martial artist. And I think that's the only, and then we got the video. Okay, so as usual, we are going to be comparing this to the base monk. So the base monk gets unarmored defense and martial artist. And this is the base monk from 2014 until now. Again, just to refresh your memory, unarmored defense means that you get an AC while you're wearing no armor and not wielding a shield. Your AC is 10 plus your dexterity plus your wisdom modifier. So you could potentially eventually have an 18 or higher, depending on what your wisdom and your dex is and what items you have. I don't see that here anywhere, so I'm hoping they didn't take that away, because that will be a pretty big nerf, because proficiencies in armor are none. And then we've got martial arts, so you gain the following benefits while you are unarmed or wielding only monk weapons and you are not wearing armor or wearing a shield. So you use your dex instead of your strength for your attack rolls. I'm hoping that's the same. Martial arts is not in here, but changes to the monk come early with adjustments to martial arts. The biggest change is that the monk's martial arts die starts one size larger at a D6 instead of a D4. So I think all the rest of these things should be in place. So, again, at first level, we get unarmored defense and martial arts. And these things should not have changed. So, dex instead of strength, D4. Now we're going to get a D6 in place of normal damage. And then when we use the attack action with an unarmed strike or a monk weapon, you can make one unarmed strike as a bonus action. For example, if you take the attack action and attack with a quarterstaff, you can also make an unarmed strike as a bonus action, assuming you haven't already taken a bonus action. And then they talk a little bit about monk weapons, but this now says that any martial melee weapon with the light property qualifies as a monk weapon. All simple melee weapons are also considered monk weapons. So finally, you can now use dex instead of strength when attempting a grapple or a shove. So that was not the case before. So as long as for first level, unarmored defense and martial artists are still around, and then these changes take place to it, it is a buff at the first level, especially this, and especially this one. Shove is a big one. So if you make a dexterity athletics check, so you probably want to be trained in athletics, then that's a big one because you can push things. And as we know, forced movement is very powerful. All right, at second level, the 2014 monk at second level gets key and unarmored movement. So here's key. You got a number of key points according to the table. You started with 2. And what that meant was you could use the key points to do flurry of bows, patient defense, or step of the wind. With flurry of bows, immediately after you take the attack action on your turn, you can spend 1 key point and make 2 unarmed strikes as a bonus action, which means you can't do the martial arts bonus strike. That's a no. But what that means is instead of 2, 1 from the attack action, 1 from the martial arts bonus action, you get 1 from the attack action. You spend a key point, and you get 2 more unarmed strikes. So you attack with your weapon and then make like a kick and a elbow. Patient defense, you got to take the dodge action as a bonus action and step of the wind. You got to spend a key point, and you took disengage or dash as a bonus action. So it looks like there is some changes to that. You also got unarmored movement. I don't see any mention of unarmored movement here. I am hoping that didn't go away. Your speed increased by 10 feet, and this bonus increases when you reach certain monk levels. So, and at 9th level, you gain the ability to go on vertical surfaces and across liquid. So I'm hoping that didn't change. If it did, that's a nerf. If it didn't, then all this is a buff. Now, 2nd level, there are some changes to Flurry of Blows, Patient Defense, and Step of the Wind. So Patient Defense now allows you to take the disengage action as a bonus action without spending focus points. That's big. So you could go disengage and then run away. If you spend the point, you can take the disengage and dodge as the same bonus action. That's big, and because dodge lasts for a while. It lasts until the start of your next turn. Likewise, if you take Step of the Wind, it automatically allows you to take dash as a bonus action. And then if you spend the key point, you take disengage and dash. So you don't take the opportunity attack, and you can run away as part of the same action. And it doubles your jump distance for a turn. Okay, so that's a buff as long as unarmored movement is still in play. At 3rd level, you get Deflect Attack, which is a replacement for Deflect Missiles, which you got at 3rd level, okay? Formerly Deflect Missiles. No longer limited to ranged weapons, deflect attacks allow you to reduce the damage of any attack that includes bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing. The damage is reduced by 1d10 plus your dex modifier plus your monk level. So at 3rd level, on average, because you probably have a 17 or 18 at 3rd level in dexterity, it's going to be 12 points. So like 5 or 6 plus 4 plus 3. And if you reduce the damage, you can use a focus point to redirect the attack. So it sounds like deflect missiles here. You can take deflect action when you are hit by a ranged attack. So you could just reduce it down. If you catch it, you can spend 1 key point to make a ranged attack. You make this attack with proficiency. So it sounds like, and it's your reaction, so you can only do it once. So instead now it's all 3, and you can actually redirect an attack. If it's a melee attack, you can redirect it against a creature within 5 feet. So like anyone, you could, like if there's 2, you could redirect it towards the person that tried to hit you, or 60 feet, respectively, and then force them to make a saving throw against damage based on the martial arts die and your dexterity modifier. Okay, so maybe there's a dex save in this too. Then there's monk subclasses at 3rd level. At 3rd level, the monk class gets to pick its subclass, choosing from 4 options. So there's 4 options here. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 options. One of those being I think that the Cobalt Soul was a Matt Mercer special. So there were 10 options plus 1 kind of option. Now it looks like there's only 4. I don't know about that. So we got Way of the Mercy. And here's now it's Warrior of Mercy instead of Way of Mercy. I don't know why they changed the word way to warrior, but they decided to change it. Monks are not necessarily warriors, but they are followers of a particular philosophy. Okay, so originally you got the Implements of Mercy. You gain proficiency in Insight and Medicine. And with the Herbalism kit, you also gain a special mask. You determine its appearance. I'm not sure what the mask did. You got Hand of Healing. As an action, you spend a key point and restore some hit points. martial arts die plus your wisdom modifier, which was a little bit, it was very nitnoy. And then when you use your flurry of blows, you can place one of these with this feature. Hand of Harm. When you hit a creature with an unarmed strike, you can spend a key point and deal extra damage equal to your martial arts die plus your wisdom modifier. You can use this feature only once per turn. I would rather use Fury of Blows, and then a bunch of other stuff. Okay, so what they're saying is that the familiar features such as Hand of Harm and Implements of Mercy return, albeit with some minor tweaks. Hand of Healing, for example, is now classed as a magic action. So that means it's not an attack action, which means you can't use it with anything that says when you take the attack action. A new action classification. The most significant change is that Flurry of Healing and Harm can now be used a number of times a day per long rest equal to your wisdom modifier. I think that's automatic instead of spending any points. Before, when you use Flurry of Blows, you can now replace each of the strikes with either Hand of Healing without spending key points for the healing, which is what you had to do up here. Or, in addition, when you make an unarmed strike with Flurry of Blows, you can use Hand of Harm with the strike without spending key points. So, and you can still only use it with Hand of Harm. So, I'm guessing now instead of spending a key point, you just get to do it a number of times a day equal to your wisdom modifier automatically. And then maybe they'll give you the option of using key points if you want to do it anymore. Then there's Warrior of Shadow. So they had Shadow Arts, so they could spend key points to cast spells. And they got Minor Illusion. And then they could Shadow Step, Cloak of Shadows, turn invisible. Now, we've got allows you to cast darkness and minor illusion, and you can move the field of darkness you create. They could cast darkness before. Does it mean they automatically get to cast darkness? I don't know. We'll have to see. The feature also gives you dark vision or upgrade yours if you have it. Well, the upgrade from dark vision, so my interpretation of upgrade is it upgrading it to 120 feet or is it upgrading it to like Devil Sight? I don't know. We'll have to see. As you level up, your level 11 improved Shadow Step allows you to spend a focus point to ignore the dim light or darkness restriction of your Shadow Step and make an unarmed strike immediately after you teleport as part of the bonus action. Okay, that's pretty cool. Finally, Cloak of Shadows is now a level 17 feature, whereas it was an 11th level feature. And I guess they're giving a Shadow Step and then improved Shadow Step and then Cloak of Shadows. And that allows you to wreathe yourself in shadows. This lasts for a minute until you're incapacitated, until you turn or you end your turn in bright light. While it's active, you have the invisible condition, which persists even if you attack or cast a spell. You can move through occupied spaces if it were difficult terrain, and you can use Flurry of Blows without needing to spend any focus points. Okay, that's pretty good. Warrior of Elements. I think this used to be Way of the Four Elements. And the Warrior of Elements has had the most number of changes and has received a lot of new and exciting changes. Elemental Attunement now gives you a 10-foot reach on your unarmed strikes and deals your choice of Acid, Cold, Fire, Lightning, or Thunder. So Elemental Attunement is right here. And you can use your action to briefly control elements. Okay? It doesn't really say it costs any key points. Hopefully they aren't getting rid of all that. But your unarmed strikes now have a 10-foot reach. You can also push or pull a target 10 feet on a failed save. Okay. That's pretty good. So there's going to be some power that allows you to do that, and it'll be tied to a saving throw. Doesn't say what kind of save. I'm going to guess it's going to be either a con or a strength saving throw. But again, pushing or pulling 10 feet is pretty big. On top of that, you learn the new Elementalism cantrip. As you level up, you'll get the ability to create area of effect elemental bursts, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so that seems pretty good. Warrior of the Open Hand, which used to be Way of the Open Hand. Here it is right here. So you got Open Hand Technique. Starting when you choose this tradition at third level, you can manipulate the enemy's key when you harness your own. Whenever you hit a creature with one of the attacks granted by your Flurry of Blows, you can impose one of the following effects on the target. knock it prone, make a strength save, or push it, and it can't take reactions. So see how they've changed that. Open hand technique remains largely unchanged with the exception of one of its options, only blocking opportunity attacks rather than all reactions. So I don't see that here. Okay. Wholeness of body has been moved to a bonus action and now heals a number of hit points equal to a roll of your martial arts die. Open hand, it remains largely with the exception of one of its options, only blocking opportunity attacks rather than all reactions. I don't really see anything about blocking in way of the open hand. So, I don't know. We'll have to see what that means. Maybe it's this one right here. Can't take reactions until the end of your next turn. So it only blocks opportunity attacks rather than all actions. Okay, that makes sense. That's kind of a nerf. So that means with this, you could stop like a wizard from casting shield. Or you could stop silvery barbs from happening. Now you can only block opportunity attacks. Okay. Wholeness of body used to be as an action you regain hit points equal to 3 times your monk level. And now it is not 3 times your monk level. It got a bit of a nerf. And it's a bonus action, whereas wholeness of body before was an action. So that's a bump. And now it heals a number of hit points equal to your martial arts die plus your wisdom modifier, which is less than 3 times your monk level. However, you can now use it a number of times a day to get your wisdom modifiers per long rest. So that's pretty good. The new Fleet Step feature allows you to use Step of the Wind as part of a bonus action that wasn't already used to perform Step of the Wind. And Quivering Palm has been rebalanced. It now costs 4 points, whereas before it cost 3. And it does 10d12 force damage on a failed save. So, use an action. The creature must make a con save. If it fails, it's reduced to 0. If it succeeds, it takes 10. So, that's a big nerf. So, instead of going to 0, it takes 10d12 force damage and half as much on a successful save. Okay. Stunning Strike. It now requires the monk to use the use of a monk weapon or unarmed strike where it didn't before. If successfully applied, the stun condition now ends at the start of your next turn rather than at the end, and it can only be used once per turn. However, if the target succeeds on the saving throw, so that's a nerf, but if it succeeds on the saving throw against Stunning Strike, their speed is halved until the start of your next turn, and the next attack made against them is done with advantage. Okay, so they're not stunned, but somebody gets advantage. So there's a little give and take there. Empowered Strike. With this new version of Key Empowered Strike, you can change the damage type to force damage. Okay, so that instead of magic weapons, it's force damage. Height and focus. So there's a couple of things missing here, which I don't like, and I'm hoping they didn't take these away. So, we got deflect. We didn't see slow fall. We didn't see extra attack, and we didn't see the bump in unarmored movement for 6th level, and we didn't see evasion. And we didn't see stillness of mind, and we didn't see unarmored movement improvement. So there's a few things missing out of here that go from 5th level to 10th level, and I really hope that they didn't take all that stuff away, because if they took evasion away especially, that one, and if they took extra attack away, those two things are going to be very bad. Very, very, very bad. And that will result in a huge nerf to a class that already sucked. Because the running joke is that monks sucked. So we got Heightened Focus. Heightened Focus is a new 10th level feature that improves several of your core features. Flurry of Blows gains an additional attack, bringing the total up to 3. Patient Defense now grants you temporary hit points based on 2 rolls of your martial arts die. Finally, when you use Step of the Wind, you can move a willing creature. Pretty cool. Self-Restoration, another new level 10 feature, lets you avoid the levels of exhaustion you normally would accumulate when going without food or water. That doesn't happen very often. And at the end of your turn, you can end charm, frightened, or poisoned conditions on yourself. That's big. Doesn't say how often, though. But and it's a new feature. So, and then there's deflect energy. So deflect attacks now can deflect or reduce the damage of attacks of any damage type. Perfect focus. When you roll initiative, you're below 4 points and you didn't use uncanny metabolism, which we really didn't talk about, but this is a way for you to get your focus points back when you roll initiative, and then you regain some hit points. That's a new one. That's pretty cool. If you haven't used that and you use perfect focus, you immediately regain enough focus points to bring you back to 4. And these are not key points anymore. They're focus points. I'm not sure why they changed it from key points to focus points, because martial artists use key, not focus. That sounds kind of dumb to me. Superior defense. At level 18 at the start of your turn, you can spend 3 focus points to gain resistance to all damage types except force for a minute or until you're incapacitated. So it looks like they're turning the monks into more of a tanky class. We got the boon of irresistible offense, increase your strength or dex, and the next bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage you deal always ignores resistance. Additionally, when you roll a 20, you can deal additional damage equal to the ability score you increased with this feat. Okay, and then we got body and mind increases your dex and wisdom by 4 each, up to a maximum of 25. Okay, so I'm hoping that a few of these things are sticking around, like extra attack and evasion. I didn't see anything in here about weapon masteries, which is a little disappointing. It's a class that didn't necessarily need to be nerfed, but they did nerf some stuff. They bumped some stuff. I think the monk needed a lot more love than this, and I'm going to give it a C+. Not really too impressed with it, but it is what it is. All right, that's what I got for everybody today. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I will catch everybody later.